Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the price action and see what's going on. So primarily we're still looking for that potential of actually coming down here lower, looking at that possibility that in fact our B wave has completed into this point here, and we're looking for that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a fifth wave to the downside. So invalidation is still set here towards this 27,672, and what we wouldn't want to see is a move above this. Now there's a couple of ways we're looking at the C wave. What we also need to be careful of here is on the bigger picture that if this move did actually come down in this manner where this becomes a 1, 2, and we actually get a deeper push down towards this 23,878, this would be a bearish situation here because then we would have that potential for a 5-wave move off of these highs here. Now, if we did get a 5-wave move, that would then potentially become A or wave 1, and then we'd be looking for that C wave. So we want to avoid this lower range of this 23,878 given the current structure currently. If we do get a direct breakdown into this zone, this would indicate that we are getting some further extension within this move. At the moment, though, we're tracking the C wave, looking for this area between this 121 and this 1.618 as a possible zone for a reversal. We do have also here this 50% level towards this 24,594, which would be quite an interesting zone because we do also have some naked points of control in this area, which is sitting towards the zone of this 24,821 to this 24,739. So this would be a little bit of confluence within some of the fib levels and this little area here. This would also be bringing us back into these highs here. So, really I am looking for that possibility that we could see additional structure to the downside here. Now, what we need to discuss is the internals of this move. What we are looking at is looking at this in this way, where if I come down here into the smaller time frames, what I'm looking for is the potential that we have this as a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this fourth wave here could potentially be completed, and we could actually have something like a flat correction in here, and we were discussing this in the previous video. So what I'm looking for here is whether we are actually completed this fourth wave or whether we could also have something like this. Now, this is something we discussed in the previous video, looking for that possibility that we could have something like this as an A, B, C, D, and E. Now, I don't like this because at the moment this move does look like a 5-wave structure to the upside, and because of that fact I'm being a bit cautious. But if we do actually break down with another 3 waves and get another 3 waves up here, potentially this could set us up for this E wave triangle. Now, we did come down and actually find support on this speed fan, and because of that fact I'm looking to see whether we actually continue to respect this. If we do get an additional push to the upside here, and this is not a completed move where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I will be looking out for this potential to come back up towards this swing high here of this 27,635 again, and that could potentially look to even give us a double top here, which would be towards this zone here of this 27,663. Now, if we do look at this as a triangle, invalidation would be this A wave high here, which would be this 27,663, and invalidation of this to the downside would actually be this 26,544. If we do remain within this zone, potentially we could see a triangle, in which case we'd be looking to break down after this complete. So that's what I'm looking for within this. I'm not really trusting this as a triangle yet because of the fact that we have what seems to be a 5-wave move here. If we get a 3-wave move back down and another 5-wave move, which still fails to break this A wave high, then we could potentially argue that this would be a cleaner C wave, in which case we'd be looking for D and E at that point once again. But at the moment, it's just something I'm keeping an eye on. Now, the other thing that we're talking about is the fact that we are actually looking to break down. So we were looking at this in a couple of ways. I have deleted the internal count here because we were looking at this potentially as 1, 2, 1, 2, but we took this high. So because we took that high, what we were talking about is that possibility we could actually see a flat correction in this zone when we were discussing this in the previous video. And we were looking for something like this, where basically within this structure, we're looking for this as an A, a B, and then looking for a C wave to the upside. So we have actually come up into that rejection area once again. We have this 786 up here towards this 27488. Now, if we start to break through this and consolidate and actually move above this high, this would invalidate this next count that I'm going to show you. But until we actually break above that zone, we do have some potential for continuation to the downside. Now, if we are going to look to break down here, what I'm looking for is the possibility that this could be a flat as a wave 2. Target area for this 1.618 would actually be here towards this 26211. Now, this wouldn't give us a lot of space to develop this fourth wave if this is the case, because this would be 1, 2, 3, and then there wouldn't be much space between this wave 1 and this wave 4. So it is still possible we could see it develop here. We'll have to see, but what can typically happen sometimes when we get a wave 2 is we get a actual third wave which is much stronger and which can look to potentially even target out towards these zones here of this 2.618. Now, if we are looking to break down in this way, potentially what we could be setting up for then is once this move is completed to the upside and this flat is complete here, we could be looking for a bigger 5-wave structure. So 2 targets I'd be looking for, primarily this 1618 and this 26211. Secondly, this 25442 as a 2.618. This could look to bring us down into this target zone here. And now if I overlay the previous count that we were discussing, what we can see here is that this also brings us into this target box that we have been discussing, this 25525 to this 25089. So this also brings us back into this blue line here, which is those highs that we discussed earlier, which is sitting towards this 25,211. So this is the count looking for a breakdown. Now, what we also need to be aware of is there are other ways of counting this. And like I said, we need to be careful that we don't have a bigger move to the downside developing here. So what we need to be careful of is that if this is counted slightly different, and we're looking at this as A and B into this high rather, what we could be setting up for is actually a much bigger move here, where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a leading diagonal here. And what this would then mean is that this move here would be an A wave or a wave 1. Now, if we look at this move in this way, what this could then actually be is that we could actually have this as a wave 2 to the upside. So if this is A, B, C, and we form the corrective move to the upside, if we fail to break above this zone of this 28,912, we need to be cautious of the fact that we could actually still see this develop as a bigger impulsive structure to the downside, where this becomes a wave 1 and 2, and then we look for a deeper wave 3. So given a 0.618 retracement here, that wave 3 target would actually be here towards this zone of this 22,346. Now, if we do get this move to the downside where we get a bigger 5-wave move, that would mean that we have this as 1, 2. This would all become 3, 4, and 5. So we want to avoid this. This would be potentially looking to actually bring us back into the lows with a single 5-wave move, which would not be a good thing for us, and would mean it's more likely that we're actually going to see this continue to the downside after that point, or potentially even extend through that level. Now, if we are looking at this, the invalidation is breaking back above these 29,826. So we need to get back above these swing highs to start invalidating some of this bearish potential, particularly this one here. If we do start to break back above this high here, potentially we can look to invalidate these bearish potentials here. The other way we were discussing this move is that potentially what we could actually have here is rather something like this, where we have this move as a flat correction, in which case we're looking for this A, B, and this C here. I need to actually turn off the other count 1 second. There we go. Looking for this as a to the downside, ABC for a flat correction here. And the thing is, within this count, we were talking about a couple of things. We were looking for that possibility that we had a 1, 2, 1, 2, but we actually came and took this low. So that count is no longer valid, but there is a way we can still potentially count this. So what we could see here is that either we could argue that within this move here, we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The problem I have with this is this wave 2 would be substantially bigger than the wave 4, so I don't really like that count. The alternative way is that we could look at this as ABC and we could be forming a diagonal. So nevertheless, I'm still keeping this as an idea, because sometimes we will see scrappy moves like this develop towards the beginning of a move. And what I'm looking for here is that if this is a wave 2 locally here, what I would want to see is this actually become a wave 1, 2, and then we'd be looking for a bigger 5-wave move to the upside. So that target would be up here towards this 29,745 as a third wave, which could then push us up into this area up here of this 30,553 to this 30,055. Obviously a big psychological level. We also have this center channel line here, which could be an interesting zone. Now, the key thing is with this, if we are looking at this move in this way, what this would be basically saying is that we're going to see a move to the upside, and then we are going to get continuation to the downside for the C wave. So what this would mean is that basically we're looking for a 5-wave move up, and then we would be looking for continuation to the downside in another 5-wave move. Now, the typical zone we look for as a flat would actually be over here towards this 30,673 to this 29,451. This would be a typical zone we'd be looking for as an expanding flat. Now, the other thing we need to be aware of is that if I just change this up here and we put the regular flat on here, the 1-to-1 of a typical zone we could look for, which would be 1-to-1 of this A wave. So this is if it's going to be a running flat, would actually be down here towards this 28,720. So this could be quite an interesting area. So keep that area in mind. We're going to discuss something else here where actually this move could be forming as a diagonal. Now, if this move is forming as a diagonal for a C wave here, what we could see is something more along these lines here, where this is actually ABC for a wave 1. This is a wave 2. Now, there's some key levels that I'm looking out for here. This B wave might not be completed, and this A wave could actually still be in play, where we argue that within the structure, we have this as 1, 2, 3, this is 4, and then we're looking for a 5th. Alternatively, within these internals, we could also argue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if this is a B wave location, what I would want to see here is a move to the upside. Now, given the current structure that we have here, this 449 cannot be crossed by this wave 3. This would invalidate the idea of a contracting diagonal here. So what we'd be looking for is this is an A, B, and C here, looking for this 28,121 given the current level. So if we develop this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this would be a zone I'd be looking out for a reaction. Though it can actually move anywhere between these two levels if it is going to be a diagonal. Now, we also have that other alternative where we're looking at this as a wave 1 in a different way, in which case if we blast through this 1-to-1 area, that would be probably what is going on then. Now, if we do get this move up here into this 28,121, what we'd be looking for then is basically coming back down and crossing this wave 1 high. So this wave 1 high is here at this 27,663. We would have to have a cross with this wave 4 for this to be valid as a diagonal. So I've done this just based off a small cross here. That would mean that the wave 5 cannot cross this zone of this 28,280. Now, this could bring us back into the top of this channel, and it could bring us back into that area of that 1-to-1 of that A wave. So this would tie into that idea that this could then just be a corrective structure here, and then we still look to break down one more time. So keeping an eye on this, see how this actually develops. If this B wave is not completed, it can potentially still find support here between this 26,744 to this 27,018. Now, that could be something like this. We form a B wave up, and then we get a C wave down, something like this, coming back into this channel line again one more time, and then looking for that 5-wave sequence to the upside. So we're going to have to give this a bit of space. There is a couple of other variations to these counts, but these are the two primary ones that I'm looking out for. There is obviously also the possibility that this could be something like this, where we actually have completed this move as a bigger ABC, and we could look for a Y wave to the upside. So that Y wave target would potentially be here towards this 27,780 to this 28,270. Now, if we just develop something like a bigger corrective structure to the upside here, and we don't follow that idea of a flat, this could still mean that we have another drop down here. So if we did have to come up here towards the 618 area, this 1-to-1 would actually be here towards this 24,110. So need to keep an eye on this. If this is going to develop in this way, we would be arguing that it's probably going to be something along these lines where we see something to this effect, where instead of looking at this as a diagonal, what we could see is that this is ABC for a W, this is an X, and then we see A, B, and C, and that could look to bring us back up towards this swing high here, which is going to be quite an interesting level if we do move up that high. Obviously, this will be quite an interesting zone if we do break up here. We would have to keep an eye on how we react from here, but technically speaking, if this is a bigger X wave here, this could also just be wave A, in which case what we could see is a 3-wave move to the downside, finding support on these levels again, and then forming another 3-wave move to the upside, something like this. So we could still potentially see this extend out, but more in a sideways choppy action, looking for the same sort of target area, but just, taking a bit more time and being a bit more sneaky in the way that it does it. So going to have to just be a bit patient with this one. Really, for as long as we remain below this wave one low here, which is sitting at this 27,677, we can look for that potential sell-off in that fifth wave. If we fail to actually hold that level, I would be more inclined to think we are getting a move to the upside here, looking for this move as a potential corrective wave in this manner. But really, once again, within our counts, like I said, until we take this high, we can't rule out the idea that this could be becoming another 1-2, and then we actually break down. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this level and see how things actually progress. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.